If you haven't watched the previous video from Sakura's story, go and watch the first episode in which we learned about our hero Sakura, who suffers from the problems he was accustomed to. People hate him, and his goal is to join Furin City and become the best person in it. We also saw how he helped Tachibana get rid of the gang. Then she invited him to a restaurant as a token of friendship, and they got to know each other. Sakura then continued to help Fiorin's students defeat the gang. He surprised us when the whole city started looking at him as a hero instead of hating and despising him. Although his goal was to follow the city's martial laws, he changed his mind after discovering that the school he wants to join protects the city, and his goal is to be the best person in it. He also began to like the look of heroes and wanted to be like them. What will happen next to our hero Sakura? Or will we learn about that in the video we will watch today? But first, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the notification bell, and then we will continue with Sakura, who looks angry. She is surprised when Tachibana sees him carrying the old woman into the restaurant, and he insults her and asks her to get off his back instead. The old woman says good morning to her while she is on his back, and she quarrels with Sakura. Then he asks her to get off his back. Sakura angrily, and he says to her, "If you don't get down, old woman, I will break the bone you are afraid of." He shouts at her when he finds her faking pain in her feet. Then he sees her walking easily. He says to her, "What, old woman? Your pain and fatigue were not real?" She smiles at him and thanks him for his help. He is indeed an impolite young man, but he is still one of Fiorin. The old woman remains waiting for food. She goes downstairs to prepare sandwiches and a cup of tea, while Sakura complains about the delay, and Tachibana tells him to wait when he wants to leave and offers him a pie. She notices his enthusiasm for school and comments positively on it, which increases his annoyance and causes him to become more annoyed with her. He feels embarrassed and turns his face away, but she likes him the way he is and reminds him of the importance of being enthusiastic. But he persists in his annoyance and insists that he does not care. Then suddenly he notices someone entering the restaurant spontaneously, wearing a school uniform with great enthusiasm. He is also one of Fiorin's students, who entered the restaurant wearing a similar outfit. For our hero in the first year, Sakura tells him that there is still a trademark on the shirt, and he continues to remain silent and roll on the floor like an idiot. He also tells him that he forgot a paper on his pants, so he takes it off, but he continues to ignore him and does not care about his actions. Sakura continues to ignore him more and says to him, "Who is this strange boy?" Tachibana continues to tease him and tells him they will be in the same class. Neri takes the initiative to narrow the boundaries, expressing his dissatisfaction with Sakura, which displeases Sakura. But suddenly he apologizes to him, and she tries to calm him down and tells him, explaining that he did not mean it. Neri expresses his sadness and asks why he is worried and whether his hair has turned white due to sadness, which upsets Sakura. Tachibana laughs, but Sakura feels embarrassed and expresses his anger. She tries to calm him down. Moments later, Neri explains to him that he has never heard of a person called Sakura before, which makes Sakura even more angry. Tachibana tries to ease his anger and explains to him that he is Neri, and not everyone knows him. Meanwhile, Neri expresses his dissatisfaction, stressing that Furin is not just an ordinary school, and the people in it protect the city and fight the bad guys, just like heroes. How do these people love them and want to be like them? Denouncing how an unknown person could have a relationship with them or organize for them. Sakura actually wants to join the school, but Neri notices that he is eating without showing any interest and tells him that he entered the school to become the best person in it. Neri is surprised, and Sakura tells them that he thinks they are the heroes and strong, and if he can become the best person in a place like this, he will feel satisfied. Neri is silent in shock at his words, and tells him that it is impossible, and if he tries to do that, your head will be bald instead of white, and Tachibana laughs hard. Then he gets emotional and tells them that he will punish them outside the restaurant, but suddenly Neri screams and tells them that he will be late for school and must go, as he only came to show off his school uniform. Sakura is surprised and points out that there are weak people like him, and tells him that they might like him. Sakura becomes fanatical and tells her that he never has fun with him and thinks that he is a boring person. Tachibana is surprised and thinks about what he said, so he explains to him that he does not only talk about clothes, but that people who only care about by their looks and appearance, they are the first to run away in case of a fight, and Tachibana tells him that he might be wrong. He tells her that he saw this happen many times in front of him until she comes back from him, and Tachibana looks at him and looks at a cup of tea and asks if he knows the color of the coffee cup, and he says to her in amazement, "It is definitely brown like any coffee." She tells him that its color is red like a cherry, and tells him that it is. She did not know that the beans sold in bottles are the same as fruit coffee, and that their color was white before they were roasted. There are things that a person does not know their true nature because he looks at them from one angle. Tachibana tells Sakura that, of course, he is free to think as he wants, but it is not necessary for him to insist on his opinion and rush it. Rather, it is better for him to talk to people and understand them first. So he thinks about her words while looking at the cup of coffee, then asks her if the boy is really a good warrior. Tachibana replies, "Is that all you understood from what I said?" He then goes for a walk in the city and on his way to school while thinking about her words. He considers that it was not a mistake, and suddenly he notices a person who owns a bakery. The baker tells him that he is from Fiorin, and they want to give him a gift, especially after helping them in the battle yesterday. So Sakura bows and apologizes and says he tells them that he is not hungry and goes straight away, but the man insists and gives him one in a bag to eat when he is hungry. And Sakura feels very embarrassed and he spends his day happy. Then he passes the supermarket and finds people thanking them. After that, each person comes and gives him another gift for what he did in the battle. Sakura finds himself carrying so many bags. He doesn't understand why these people are interested in him and feels confused, but he starts thinking about what Tachibana said about not rushing into making decisions. He is amazed at how people care about him and throws gifts, and suddenly a girl comes running towards him and asks for his help. He feels confused because he does not understand her desire. We notice someone attacking Neri, so he goes towards him to confirm the situation. We find him surrounded by a group of men, and one of them says that these children believe themselves to be heroes because they joined Fiorin's school, and Neri seeks to defend the girl who has been harassed. Neri tries to attack them, but he shows weakness in front of them, and the bullying man mocks him and leaves him beaten. Neri tries to defend truth and justice as he was trained in the Fiorin school, but the bullying man continues to laugh and mock him and tries to hit him because he feels provoked by his words. At this moment, the situation turns upside down. Neri is about to be struck. Sakura intervenes, who showed his strength and courage at this critical moment. Neri feels astonished and admired. While the bully fainted on the ground, Neri began to talk to Sakura, sharing the painful truth about his experiences with bullies, and how he was being subjected to them without being able to defend himself. He tells him how he was always persecuted, how weak and afraid he felt, and how no one stood by him except Fiorin. Sakura listens with amazement and respect to Neri's story, and realizes that they may be on the same path, as each tries to overcome their own challenges. He feels inspired and encouraged, and thanks Sakura for his support and help in this difficult moment. After the situation is resolved, Neri feels strong and confident in himself and decides to continue his journey with Sakura to Fiorin. He realizes that he needs to understand the true strength and challenges facing him, and realizes that Fiorin can be the right environment for him to develop his strength and skills, and that he can find there the support and encouragement he needs to face the challenges in his life. Neri wants to join Fiorin to become strong and brave like Sakura. However, he now feels that he is pitied by others, especially because of the bullying that Neri is subjected to, and tells him to stop crying because it might make him look weaker. Neri seems annoyed and upset by Sakura's words, but he notices the girl who asked for his help and she thanks him for helping her, which increases his embarrassment. Neri continues to help Sakura, giving him information about strong people like him, continuing to support him, sticking up for him, and taking him to school. This surprises Sakura, but he sees a new side in Neri that deserves appreciation. Thus, As the duo spends their time together, each contemplates their future path, and Sakura begins to think about the opportunity to meet people who look like him at school. When Neri calls him, Sakura is surprised and waits impatiently to see what the future in Foreign holds for them. The system is very old. The names are posted on the board, and I find that they are both in the same row. Neri reads out the names of people like Sukryu and Tosgiora, even though they are very serious people. But Sakura doesn't seem to care. He tells him that he should not be enthusiastic about written names and that he will not separate those with them. Neri is surprised and tells him that this is important, of course, as they need to know who is with them. But he is suddenly shocked when he sees the name of an evil person who will be with them, so he becomes afraid and says that this is a truly terrible thing. His enthusiasm changes immediately, and he becomes confused. He asks Sakura whether he should go home or not. Neri asks him to promise something, and he will carefully check everyone in the class. Sakura gets angrier and feels exhausted by his words. Neri tries to explain to him that all the students in the school are residents of the city and have gathered to protect it, so it will not be good for them to know that there is someone who does not. He sees them in a positive light, so he better prove to them that he is not there to make trouble in the first place, and that he is not an enemy of the school. While Neri tries to convince him, Sakura looks on without interest, and Sakura tries to warm up his body. And Neri tells him that he does not know who will be behind the door, so he must be careful. And Neri thinks that he got things wrong, and tries to explain to him that he will have an hour. Just one more until the whole school treats him as an enemy. So it's best not to get confused, but Sakura tells him that he doesn't care if they consider him an enemy, because he came to fight until he wins. He gets first place, opens the door, and enters with complete confidence. Everyone looks at him with astonishment and interest, and Neri is terrified and afraid of anyone who might attack him. But Sakura laughs at him and is happy with what is happening and tells them that he is not a monster. One of the students who attended tells him that he is definitely Sakura, so Sakura prepares to fight and asks him who he is, and next to him is Neri, who collapses nervously, and Neri tries to explain to him that he did not mean to quarrel with him, and he also tries to find out his name from the names he collected on his note, but it seems that his appearance and hair, they look like Leonardo DiCaprio, so Sakura makes fun of him, especially when he tells them that he is an ordinary Japanese person and not a Hollywood actor, and he introduces them by his name, Sue. So Sakura thinks that he talks too much, so Neri tries to calm him down, but Sue shows interest in him and asks about himself because he is from out of town. Sakura expects that he will treat him like a stranger, but he admires him very much and tells him that he heard a lot about him and what he did in the battle. Neri and Sakura look surprised, and the rest of the students begin to ask Sue about the matter, so he tells them about the battle that happened in the street, the main one yesterday, and how he was able to protect the city at that time, and that everyone heard something about him more than the other, and that there was someone who had heard about him, and he was wearing a real foreign uniform, but no one knew his name, because he was new and had recently transferred to the school, and Sakura appears. Embarrassed and upset by his treatment, Neri also cannot believe that he is no longer an enemy of the school. They asked him why he came to school, and Sakura replied that he came here to become the strongest among them, which raised their surprise. Neri became afraid and tried to explain to them that he did not mean that, but Sakura continued to threaten him, saying, "Yes, I mean that I will strike and defeat anyone who stands in front of me." Then he looked and found a table thrown at him, so he quickly dodged it before it hit him, and they were all trying to figure out who threw the table at Neri, who was terrified while Sakura was excited. Neri was trying to control Sakura, begging him not to fight with anyone, especially Kyutara. He is the most dangerous person in the school. Meanwhile, Kyutara was heading towards Sakura angrily and started attacking him, which made the entire class afraid of him. As soon as he entered, Neri crossed his arm in front of his face, fearful of any possible blow. At this time, a fanatical Kyo entered, and Sakura told him that he would expect nothing less, as the situation of Furin High School had become difficult, and now it was better, and the video ended. So if you want to know more, Subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive updates as soon as the video is published. I hope you liked the video and wait for more in the upcoming videos. Peace be upon you.